Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's Red Dead Redemption 2 video, we're going to be looking at some cut content that never made its way into the final version of the game. So even though Red Dead Redemption 2 isn't out on PC yet, where we'll have a way easier time accessing the files and things that never made its way into the final build of the game, there's still been a ton of things found that we don't see in story mode. And that's what we're going to be looking at in this video today. Now, before we get started, I'm going to be focusing less on things like this, but if you would like to see stuff like this in the future, you can let me know in the comments down below. Support the video by leaving a like rating. This is Eagle Flies in one of the final missions of the game. In the gameplay trailer part 2, he looked like this, and in the final build of the game, he looked like this. So I don't know if this is Rockstar trying to portray him differently to avoid spoilers so that the player would be surprised when they actually got to play in the game, or if they legitimately, put the war paint on him and stuff like that. They just decided to change his outfit. I'm not going to be talking about all the changes like this because they're more of just like outfit changes and world changes and less of like features. But if you would like me to do that in a future video, I totally will, because there is a ton of pretty cool changes like that that you might not have known about. So anyways, let's move on with our first bit of cut content today. And that is an insane animal that we've never seen before. And that is a shark. So it looks like a shark was going to be a part of the main compendium that Arthur could hunt, kill, skin, and index in the game. Now, there's actually a handful of sharks that can be found. There's like your normal like tiger shark, and then there's like a hammerhead shark. So Rockstar actually had multiple types that were going to spawn. Just like there's multiple types of chickens and pigs and cows, it looks like they were going to be a part of the game. Now, if I had to take a guess, I would say that these sharks would be used in the Guarma map. Like, for example, if you were in Chapter 5 and maybe you decided to, like, swim out into the water, maybe they would attack you to sort of keep you in line and make sure that you were completing the story. We see something similar to that in GTA 5, where if you do swim out too far into the ocean, you will be attacked by sharks. And we sort of see a similar measure to that in Red Dead Redemption 2, where if you're on a boat, your boat will eventually break down. So I really do wonder what Rockstar's plan was going to be for the shark here. It would have been cool if there was a special article of clothing or an item that like required, like a shark teeth or shark fins or skins. That would have been pretty neat. But nonetheless, we never saw this animal make its way into Red Dead Redemption 2. Hopefully we will in the future in some way, shape, or form, but who knows what Rockstar's original plans were. The next thing on our list today is companions. So I'm sure you guys have played some ultra popular games like Skyrim and Fallout, where you can actually have companions that will actually follow you around, help you out in combat. Well, it turns out that the same feature was going to happen in Red Dead Redemption 2, where I'm assuming you could almost recruit anyone from the gang or maybe anyone in free roam to become your companion. Thus, they would help you out in free roam. Now, you might be wondering, well, why didn't Rockstar include this feature in the final version of Red Dead Redemption 2? Maybe it's because they thought it would make the game way too easy. Like, for example, if you could bring Micah and Bill Williamson to a town, you could literally, like, murder that town instantly. So maybe they thought it would be way too easy to deal with bad guys, enemies, and other NPCs. Maybe it's just something that ultimately never was going to work because certain characters die, or certain characters might be limited to staying in camp, for example. So who knows, but that still would have been a lot of fun. The third thing on our list today is that gang members' horses could be used and borrowed by the players. So if you try to go up to like Dutch's horse or Charles's horse, for example, right now, you actually can't ride them. However, you were supposed to be able to ride other NPCs' horses, like the gang members. And that would have been pretty cool. Now, I don't really know why there would have been a need or a reason for that, because your horse is pretty much with you at all times. So maybe that's why Rockstar said, okay, you can't do that. We don't want that to be the case. But I'm sure that someone like Bill Williamson or Dutch would have had no problem if you wanted to borrow their horse. So it is kind of funny that you weren't able to do that in the final version of the game, because they do have some pretty awesome horses, like some Arabians and some fun war horses. So that is kind of cool. Number 4 today, apparently there was a cut gang from Red Dead Redemption 2 called the Taluha Jetty, Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. This is going to be a gang that I think would have been located near like Annesburg. In the leaked version of the Red Dead Redemption 2 map, you can actually see where one of their gang hideouts was supposed to be. And there's even a specific newspaper article in the Saint Denis Times 55 that talks about how they were actually killed. So I guess Rockstar did technically include them in the game. They were just never a gang that you could ultimately run into, like the Lobos or the Laramie or the Muffrey Broods or the Lemoyne Raiders or even the O'Driscolls. They were just never a part of the gang that you encountered. But Rockstar did, I guess, include them as a little bit of a reference in a newspaper article. This next one is pretty small, but I did find it to be cool. Apparently, Mama Watson from Watson's Cabin was supposed to be called Mama Russell. So according to the voice actor and likeness of that character, Leslie Alexander, on one of her resumes, it says Mama Russell for Red Dead Redemption 2 instead of Mama Watson. And that actually kind of makes sense because there is some dialogue when she's actually talking to Arthur. She'll say like, "Aren't you one of them Russell boys?" or something like that. So I can understand why maybe she was supposed to be called Mama Russell. Again, a tiny little change right there, but I found that to be kind of cool. The next thing that's pretty cool is there's actually a beta version of Arthur that can be found in the files. I'll show you guys what he looks like right here. He looks a lot rougher, like a ton more scars on his face. His nose looks to be a lot bigger. He also looks way scarier. And I think the final version of Arthur ended up looking a lot more like the voice actor and motion capture artist, Roger Clark, than the version we're seeing right here. And now I don't know what the background is. It looks like he's wearing his like Coulter winter coat here. But either way, this is like a much scarier version of Arthur that we never ended up seeing. Rockstar sort of tweaked the design, I guess to make him look a little bit friendlier, I guess you could say. I'm not too sure. I know they were going for the outlaw vibe, but this guy just looks menacing and horrifying, and maybe they thought that was a little too extreme. Moving on, and up next, there's actually a user on the website DeviantArt, Helios AI, who's posted some very interesting like models of the various Red Dead Redemption 2 characters. Like, for example, he's got Abigail and he's got Arthur, he's got Molly and Sadie. And what's cool is these are all of the outfits that are found in game, and some of them are not used. Let's actually start with Molly OShea. And by the way, I will leave a link to this in the description if you'd like to check it out for yourself. This first outfit right here is her in like a very fancy party dress. So I'm guessing originally that Molly was supposed to be invited to the Saint Denis party. And if you guys actually go back and play that mission, or you just remember playing it, you'll know that Molly OShea was not invited. In fact, I don't think any of the ladies were invited to that party. So I wonder what her original plan was going to be. Also, another version of Molly, this is like a, I don't know, like a bedtime version where she's in her pajamas. This seems a bit strange, I'm not going to lie. I don't think I've ever seen Molly OShea look like this. Even hanging around the camp, she always seems to be like fully dressed. This kind of reminds me of what like Abigail wears when you see her wake up in the epilogue. And as I mentioned earlier, there's also a handful of cut outfits for Arthur and Sadie in the epilogue. So I will leave a link to this page in the description. It's really, really cool, and you can check it out for yourself. Obviously, there's a lot going on. I don't know how this individual has access to these files. It's really cool, and I'm hoping he ends up doing some of the other characters, maybe like Karen or Mary Beth or Tilly or Dutch or Bill Williamson, Micah. It'd be cool to see what other outfits were not used and if they might give some hints as to what they were supposed to be doing in those outfits. And last but not least today, we get an HD version of young Arthur, Dutch, and Hosea. This was actually found by Rain Blue. I'll leave a link to this in the description as well. This is really cool. I don't know how this individual found this, but you can see that it is like the most high definition version of this little photo that Arthur is supposed to have next to like his campsite that shows him, Hosea, and Dutch all when they're like super young. And there's even some close-up photos as well that I'll show on the screen that look really, really cool. You get to see a lot of the details of them and how they would have looked like years ago. before the game even started. So I found this to be incredibly cool, and that right there is some of the cut content from Red Dead Redemption 2 that you might not have known about. Again, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments down below if you want me to do sort of a part 2 to this, where we look at some of the changes, like, for example, the very first image we looked at of Eagle Flies and how his outfit was different. More stuff like that, you can let me know in the comments down below. If you guys did go on to enjoy this video, though, a like rating would, of course, be awesome. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you want to stay up to date on all the latest Red Dead Redemption 2 and GTA videos that I'm doing here on my channel. And be sure to ring that notification bell as well. Sometimes YouTube just doesn't work, and if you ring that bell, you'll always be guaranteed to be notified when new videos arrive. But of course, as always, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.